Okay, let's dive right in. Today, we are taking a really close look at the hard science behind an ancient seed that, believe it or not, might just hold a key to rebuilding our cells from the inside out. I want you to imagine something for a second. A compound that can do all this: triple your stem cells, visibly slow down how fast you're aging. You'd probably think we're talking about some crazy expensive next-gen drug, right? Something only a billionaire could get their hands on? It honestly sounds like something straight out of science fiction. But here's the kicker. It's not a drug at all. It's this tiny, unassuming seed that's been a staple in Asian kitchens for, get this, over 3,000 years. It's called makana, some people know it as foxnuts, and today we're going to get past all the hype and look at the actual science behind it. And the history here is just fascinating. In ancient Chinese medicine, emperors were actually using it to try and live longer. Over in Ayurveda, it was used to build up something called ojas, which is basically your body's core life energy. They could see the results back then. Now, science is finally telling us how it all works. So to really understand what this seed is capable of, we first have to talk about the crisis that's happening inside your body, like right now. This is the very problem that makana seems built to solve. Now, what's really wild about this is just how steep this drop is. By the time you hit age 40, your body's ability to make new stem cells, your internal repair crew, has already tanked by more than 50%. This is the real reason why a simple twisted ankle can take weeks to heal, instead of just a few days like it did when you were 20. And then there's a double whammy. A major study in the journal Nature back in 2016 showed how chronic inflammation, which is fueled by our modern diets, stress, you name it, creates this toxic internal environment that is actively destroying the stem cells you have left. So it's wiping out your repair crew, making you age way faster on a biological level. And this right here is the exact moment where makana enters the modern picture. So let's get into how researchers figured out that it acts like some kind of biological master key. So what's hiding inside this seed? Well, scientists have pinpointed these really unique bioactive compounds. Studies have shown that its rare polysaccharides can measurably fire up stem cell production. Some people saw a huge increase in their circulating stem cell markers in just 21 days. So how in the world does it actually do that? The best analogy I've heard is a circuit breaker. Think of inflammation and aging as tripping that breaker in your house. It shuts off this master switch for stem cells called the WNT pathway, and everything goes dark. Well, the camphorol in makakana basically goes down to the basement, finds that breaker, and flips the power right back on. Okay, I have to stop here for a second because this part is incredibly important. Let's be crystal clear. Makana does not, I repeat, does not cure cancer. It is not a replacement for chemotherapy or radiation or any protocol you get from your oncologist. Period. End of story. So here's the crucial distinction. The peer-reviewed science points to its role in a supportive capacity. It's designed to work with your doctor's protocol, not around it. It does this by helping your own body create an environment that's hostile to those mutated cells. And this is how it fights back. First, it helps restore something called apoptosis. That's just the natural, pre-programmed self-destruct timer in all our cells, which cancer cells are really good at turning off. And second, camphorol helps block angiogenesis, which basically means it acts like a roadblock to stop a tumor from building new blood vessels to feed itself. Now, making new, healthy cells is only one side of the coin. The other side is dealing with the old cells that are just, well, they're exhausted. And researchers have a pretty great name for them. The official term is senescent cells, but honestly, zombie cells is way better. They've stopped doing their job, but they just refuse to die. They're like squatters hanging out in your tissues, leaking out all these inflammatory toxins that make the healthy cells around them get old faster. Research is showing that makana can actually help your immune system find and kick out these zombie cells in as little as 8 weeks. Okay, so let's pull this out of the lab and into the real world. There's a case study of a 62-year-old patient named Okba that perfectly shows how all these invisible processes actually translate to someone's daily life. So she was in pretty rough shape, really bad fatigue, brain fog, and her inflammatory markers were climbing. After just 6 weeks on a simple makana protocol with no other big lifestyle changes, her inflammatory markers dropped by a staggering 31%. But honestly, this is the result that just blows my mind. After 12 weeks, they did a follow-up test on her biological age, and it showed a reversal of 4 years. It just goes to show you, if you give your body the right tools, it really, really wants to heal itself. And what about Okaba's brain fog? Well, that same camphorol compound that flips the stem cell switch can also cross the blood-brain barrier. And once it's in there, it stimulates something called BDNF. You can see it's basically miracle grow for your brain, and it helps to grow and protect brand new neurons. The science here is so compelling, right? But it all comes down to the most practical question. How do you actually use it? So let's look at the daily protocol. Okay, there is one rule that we absolutely cannot skip. It's critical. Camphorol is what's called fat-soluble. That means it needs a, quote, lipid taxicab, like a healthy fat like ghee or coconut oil, to actually carry it into your bloodstream. If you eat macana totally dry, you're pretty much leaving most of the benefits on the table. So with that in mind, here are 3 really simple ways to prepare it. The most common is to just dry roast them till they're crispy and then toss them with a little ghee or oil. For sleep and repair, you can blend them into a warm macana milk, or for blood sugar support, you can soak them and then blend them into this really nourishing porridge. And of course, safety first. It's generally very safe, but if you're pregnant, if you're on blood-thinning meds like warfarin, or if you have a history of severe kidney stones, you absolutely need to talk to your doctor before you make this a daily therapeutic thing. So, the crucial point to leave you with is this. Remember that biology takes time. This isn't some magic pill that works overnight. The clinical studies that saw these real, measurable drops in inflammation and biological age, they all relied on a consistent 8 to 12-week protocol. It's the consistency that really drives the change. We started this whole journey with just one simple seed, one that was prized by ancient emperors thousands of years before we even had a word for stem cells. Which just leaves me with this one lingering thought. If this little seed holds the biochemical key to waking up our cellular repair crews, what other ancient foods are just sitting in our kitchens right now, waiting for modern science to finally catch up?
All right, today we're diving into something pretty amazing, a tiny, almost forgotten seed called macana. We're going to look at the cutting-edge science that shows how it can have a truly profound impact on our health. I mean, right down to the cellular level. Just think about that for a second. What if a food, something people have been using for over 3,000 years, actually holds a key to helping our bodies create new stem cells and build an internal fortress where disease just can't get a foothold? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack. Okay, so to really get why this tiny seed is such a big deal, we've got to talk about a quiet crisis that's happening inside all of our bodies, especially once we hit our 40s and beyond. And look, the numbers here are just, wow. They're staggering. By the time you hit 40, your body's power to make new stem cells has literally been cut in half. We're talking more than a 50% drop. This isn't just some small change. It's a massive shift in your body's fundamental ability to repair itself. So, what are we actually losing here? Well, think of stem cells as your body's elite repair crew. They're the master cells. Your heart, your brain, your liver, and especially your immune system, all of them are counting on a fresh supply of these guys to fix damage, rebuild tissue, and keep you healthy. But here's the kicker. In our modern world, it's not just that we're making fewer of them as we get older. The constant, low-grade inflammation from things like processed foods, stress, and not enough sleep, it's like an all-out assault, actively killing off the stem cells we do have. A major study in the journal Nature actually confirmed that this process is literally speeding up how fast we age. So, okay, that's the bad news, right? Our natural repair system is taking a hit, but what can we actually do about it? Well, this is where it gets exciting. We turn to this ancient food that modern science is now proving is, well, it's pretty extraordinary. Let's talk about macana, also known as foxnuts. And, this isn't some new fad that just popped up on social media. Not at all. For over 3,000 years, both Ayurvedic and traditional Chinese medicine have used macana as a food for longevity. In ancient China, they literally gave it to emperors with the goal of helping them live longer. They knew something was working. Today, we're finally figuring out the why. So, the first huge benefit is a real game changer. It turns out that specific compounds inside macana seem to have a direct line to our body's ability to create brand new stem cells, that master repair crew we were just talking about. So, picture this. Your stem cell production is like a light switch. That switch is called the WNT signaling pathway. Now, for a lot of us over 40, all that chronic inflammation has basically flipped the switch to off.
But here's the cool part. Research shows a compound in maca called camphorol actually helps flip that switch back to the on position, kickstarting that whole self-renewal process again.
Okay, benefit number 2. And this is something scientists are getting really excited about. Now, let's be clear, we're not talking about curing anything. We're talking about creating an environment inside your body where cancer cells just find it incredibly hard to survive and grow.
You see, our bodies are incredibly smart. They have this built-in safety program called apoptosis. It's basically programmed cell death. Its job is to find damaged or mutated cells and tell them to self-destruct before they can become a tumor. The problem is, our modern lifestyles can weaken that signal. Well, compounds in maca, like quercetin and that camphorol again, have been shown to help turn that critical self-destruct sequence back on in those bad cells.
And this isn't just theory. The science is there. A 2017 study found that maca extract literally triggered apoptosis, cell death, in certain cancer cells, while leaving the healthy cells completely alone. And get this, a 2019 study found it could block angiogenesis. That's how tumors grow their own blood supply. So essentially, this helps starve a tumor by cutting off its lifeline.
All right, let's talk about benefit number 3. And it's a big one, turning back the clock on your biological age. And we're not just talking about wrinkles here. We're talking about the actual health and youthfulness of your cells from the inside out.
Scientists have this awesome name for old broken down cells, zombie cells. Seriously, they've stopped doing their job, but they refuse to die. Instead, they just hang around, pumping out inflammatory signals that age all the healthy cells around them. While studies are showing that the powerful antioxidants in maca help your body clear out these zombie cells and also protect our telomeres, those little protective caps on our DNA, from getting shorter too fast.
Okay, so the science is super compelling, right? But what does this mean for you, practically? How do you actually put this to work in your own life? Let's get into the simple how-to stuff.
So, what's the magic number? Well, the research points to something really simple. About 20 to 30 grams of dry maca a day. That's it. It's about what you can fit in one big handful. And the absolute key here isn't eating a ton of it at once. It's being consistent, having that little bit every single day.
And preparing them is ridiculously easy. Just get a pan, heat it up on medium-low, no oil or anything, and toss in your handful. Stir them around for maybe 5 to 7 minutes until they get super light and crispy. Then, right at the very end, add a pinch of salt and a little bit of ghee or another healthy fat. That little bit of fat is key because it helps your body soak up all the good stuff much more effectively.
You know, stats and studies are great, but what does this actually look like for a real person? Let me tell you about a story from the source material, a case study about a patient they called Okpa.
So Okpa was 62 and she was really struggling. We're talking crippling brain fog, just constant, bone-deep fatigue, and her inflammatory markers were through the roof. Her words are just heartbreaking. She told her doctor she felt like she was watching herself disappear.
So her doctor put her on this incredibly simple plan. Just one handful of dry roasted maca every single morning. That's it. And the results came back shockingly fast. After only 6 weeks, her inflammatory markers had plummeted by 31%. She said her energy was flooding back.
But it's what happened at the 12-week mark that is just mind-blowing. They did a cellular age assessment, and it showed that her body had biologically gotten younger by an estimated 4 years. All from one simple, daily handful of a forgotten seed. So what's the big takeaway here? It's that your body has this incredible, innate desire to heal itself. And the science we've looked at today suggests that maca is one of those foods that just gives it the right tools for the job. It helps wake up stem cell production, tells damaged cells to take out the trash, protects your very DNA from aging, and can even help grow new brain cells. So it really boils down to this, doesn't it? Every single day, with every single meal, your cells are listening. They're paying attention to the information you're giving them. And the incredible story of maca is just a powerful reminder to ask ourselves, are we giving our bodies the information they need, not just to get by, but to truly, deeply regenerate?